Hey y'all, Ben from Smithson Speed and Engineering. Just wanted to get a video together and talk AC lines with you real quick. So Vintage Air is the manufacturer we use. So they're the leading supplier of aftermarket retrofit air conditioning heating systems for these old cars. These are two examples of the types of hose we use. So their general kits come standard with what I call this barrier hose with a beadlock fitting. You can see here, it's a fitting that goes on. You have to clock it and then have a hydraulic crimper or a manual crimper to crimp these. We have upgraded to what they call their Easy Clip hose, and this is what we use on every single build that we use. Any installation that we put in from Vintage Air, this is what we use. We've had really good luck with routing them, and also we have had 0 leaks on all of the systems that we've installed. So this is what we use. So to give you a little more of a comparison and why we like the Easy Clip better than the traditional beadlock style fittings, we'll start first. So these are both number 10 lines. You can tell very quickly there's a diameter difference. So the traditional hose is much bigger. And then you'll see here, as far as routing them, these have a much smaller radius that you can bend them in before they start kinking. So you can see how tight you can get this hose. And again, this is a number 10 versus this style, you know, before it starts trying to kink. You can get these in and around a lot of places much easier because they're a smaller diameter and they're easier to bend, have a smaller radius. Again, that's the number 10 just to show you too. So these are both number 6 hoses. One again is the Easy Clip, one is the traditional barrier hose. These are number 8. So you can tell there's a pretty large difference in these. You can actually see this number 10 hose right here. This is number 10 Easy Clip, and that's the number 6 traditional hose. And you can see they're almost the same diameter. So it's much nicer to use that. And we've had a lot of good luck, like I said, routing them, and then also the leaks we've not had. You can see on this Jeep, we've used the Easy Clip hoses. Again, what we did is we routed them through a grommet on the firewall, and we just pulled the hose out here, cut it to length, and then put the fittings on. So it made it easier than having to route, especially these hoses with the service port ends. You know, they're a pain, but we just pulled it out, cut it, put the fittings on, and that was it. And they're nice and clean. Like I said, they're a smaller diameter. They bend on a tighter radius. You can get them in a whole lot more places. To give you an idea of what this looks like on the assembly side, we'll go ahead and put one of these Easy Clip hoses together. So these are examples of some of the different types of fittings you can get for them. So, you know, you've got a straight 45, 90, and then a 90 with a service port. Those are all available from the Vintage Air website. They actually have a Easy Clip hose kit that you can get as well that comes with an assortment of hose sizes and fitting. So first thing you're going to need is something to cut the hose with, right? So they come with lengths of hose. They may not be the right length you need, especially on more of the custom kits. You just need something simple like this. You want to try to cut these at as square and straight of an angle as you can, but you can tell that's no problem. The next part is, we'll just use this straight one. So this is going to go on right here, and it's going to have this cage and these 2 clips that go around it, and that's how it seals. And the great thing about it is also reusable. So you have these special pliers. I'll show you. You can take those back off, take it apart, reuse these fittings if you want to. The last part of the puzzle is the oil you need, because you can see these have O-rings on them, right? So you just want to put a little bit of oil on those before you put them together. Lubricate them down a little bit. Helps with installation and helps that, you know, that O-ring doesn't get pinched or rolled or cut during the assembly process. All right, so first thing you'll do is you'll put your little clips on the hose, just like this, okay? And then once you've again oiled your O-rings, all that does is slide off in there, make sure it bottoms out where you want it, and then this cage just presses on. So you can see right here, I say that, I have to get, there it goes. So you can see how it's seated in there. So that's where you want it. And then you slide the clips over, just like that, easy. And then you can see these pliers. These are a special plier you can get from Vintage Air for this application. And it's easy as 1, and then I usually try to line these up where they're the same. 2, and that is it. Like, as far as assembly of one of these Easy Clip hoses, that's all there is to it. It's a nice seal, got double O-rings up in there with no issues. Again, the comparison or contrast to that would be this beadlock fitting. So like I said, you have to have a special crimping tool to crimp these, and then they're not reusable. So once that's crimped, it's done. The only other thing we talk about is routing. So these hoses right here, when you build them, a lot of times you've got to build them and run them through different O-rings or grommets or whatnot in your firewall, and you have to run the fitting through. The great thing about this is I can run these hoses, route them how I want, and then let's say I get this pushed through the firewall, I can put this end on right out here in the engine bay. So it makes that easier. Instead of having to push a whole fitting all the way through, it's just run the hose, then put the fitting on afterwards. So a few different examples of why we use that. Again, the biggest thing, we don't have any leaks. We've had 0 leaks ever since we've used these. But again, easy clip hose versus the traditional barrier hose with the beadlock fitting. All right, as we had talked about earlier, these fittings are reusable, right? So we use these pliers to hook these clamps on, but you can also use them to remove them as well. So all it is as simple as that and that. Slip these back off, and then you can pull. Sometimes you have to cut the hose, but you can pull this fitting back out. You may have to replace the O-rings every now and then, but that way it's reusable. You pull it out, build your new hose, put new O-rings, lube them up, put it back together just like we did just a minute ago. All right, real simple. Not everybody knows about these though, but Vintage Air has them. You can either go to vintageair.com, check those out, or we're also an authorized dealer and we can help you with part selection or whatever you need on that. So again, thanks for checking it out. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.